My dream is for the world to become a place where the general population respects, encourages and enables. My dream is for the world to become a place where the general population respects, encourages and enables its disabled citizens to make a contribution in life, develop their full potential and feel that they have a purpose in life. Today, I can truly thank the Lord for making me exactly as I am, and feel that I have a purpose in life.
Sheri, kom, ons moet gaan.
Hallo.
Saterdagoggend en ons moet jou speech korter maak, want jy het net 'n kwartier of jy moet vreeslik vinnig praat. Dit sal die ander alternatief wees.
If I think of 31 years ago, and I held this tiny little baby, she was such a small little baby, and I was so afraid, and I didn't know where we were going. I really didn't know where we were going. So never ever, in my wildest dreams, in my biggest prayers, I would have believed that would happen what is happening at this stage.
How could I ever know that this baby that I was carrying would one day inspire people around the world? In her DNA, she carried the hope for a cure for one of the most destructive diseases of our time.
I didn't see anything. I didn't think anything was wrong. I went to bed with a big smile and I was just so happy about my little baby girl. So the next morning when the doctor came, the doctor said he drew blood and that he's going to do some tests. There may be something wrong. And when Sheri came in, I told him, there's something wrong with our baby, but I don't know what, but they did draw some blood. And then he sat next to my bed with his hands, in his face in his hands, and he said, but didn't I see it? And when he said that, I said, okay, so you saw Down syndrome. And he said, this is what I saw. And I knew this is what we are going to have to cope with for the rest of our lives.
Ons koppies is ook ovaal en ons het ook skriffies oogies.
That is one of the things we first see in the little babies is the slant eyes.
En ons het ook 'n breër tong.
Their palate is very high, and that's also the things that makes it difficult for them to speak sometimes.
En daar's ook ons voete, ons het 'n ek weet nie om dit te sê nie, maar daar's 'n
crease between the first and second toes, which other people don't have. They have this crease here.
So dis ook 'n kenmerk van Down syndroom. Ja.
They are intellectually behind the other people. Their development is slower than other people's.
So ek het eintlik groot geword as dat ek nou anders as ander mense en
When Sheri was around about 2 months old, the old university friend came to me and she said that her brother has got Down syndrome and he got some or other implants in Switzerland. they did give the implants. They're not doing it anymore because nobody could really verify the research. But we were never sorry that we went. We had this little baby, and I've never been overseas, and I saw this big, vast countries and places, and I couldn't believe where I was. And I think I just prayed for this baby to get all the opportunities, just to get opportunities to become the person she's supposed to be.
Ek en jy en papa hier gewees. Jy was so 'n piep klein babietjie, jy was net so groot gewees, want jy het nie vinnig gegroei nie. Jy het nou nog nie klaar gegroei nie. 30 years ago, I walked the streets of London with her dad, looking for help for Sheri. Now I'm going to all these spots with her again. And the difference is, this time, she's here to help others.
I never ever wanted her to become normal because Sheri is not normal. Sheri is a Down syndrome. And I like her the way she is. I don't want to change her. I don't want to change her into somebody I don't know.
I was born about 31 years ago, and my grandmother's friends wanted to try for me to become normal. But my mother asked them rather to pray that I would receive the support to reach my full potential as person with Down syndrome.
That I would receive.
That I would receive the support.
When she goes to her drama teacher, Elsa Krantz, Elsa takes her into a dream world, and there she can become an extrovert.
As I was.
As I was.
Sê dit weer.
Soapbox is one of the most important things in Sheri's life. A drama takes her away from reality. She normally sits alone in her room watching her television. Because actually Sheri is an introvert. She likes being on her own.
The sisters took drama lessons, so she took drama lessons, not for any other reason that she does what her sisters do.
Het julle gehoor? Drink net hierdie Pinot Noir. En dan maak ek jou ryk ou swaar.
She enjoyed becoming whatever she wants to be.
'n Stoel, 'n kat of 3.
Whoever she wants to be.
Gaan na die lavatory.
She really came out of the person that we expect her to be. And a friend of mine was part of a women group, and she said, I must come and share my experiences with Sheri as a person with Down syndrome with this women group. And more people asked me, and I would talk, and she would recite a poem. And it started that she talked a little bit more and a little bit more. My speech got shorter and shorter and shorter, and Sheri's speech got longer and longer and longer. And so I decided that I leave the speaking to Sheri, and now Sheri's the one that speaks.
We've known that there is a link between Down syndrome and Alzheimer's disease for quite some time, and that's become much more apparent in the past 50 years or so, because people with Down syndrome are living much longer than they used to. About half of people with Down syndrome over the age of 50 are at risk of showing the signs of Alzheimer's disease, which is about 10 times higher than in the general population.
I'm just going to introduce you to Francis Wiseman, who's our senior researcher on the Alzheimer's project.
The Landowns Consortium is a group of clinicians and clinical scientists such as myself and laboratory scientists, and we're all working together to try and understand the development of Alzheimer's disease in Down syndrome. So the project that we're working on is called, it's a study about how parts of the brain works in people with Down syndrome. We will want to take a few of your hairs. It means that we have to pull out a few of your hair on your head. Would you be okay with that?
I don't know.
And this one?
Okay.
Good. Put that in the box. And what we would like to do is to do detailed brain tests, if you want, to look at differences between people with Down syndrome in terms of their memory. I'm going to close the box now. I'm going to ask you, what have we just put in the box?
A coin, a pen, a car, a spoon. Key and a coin.
Very good. In terms of their problem-solving ability, even in terms of their motor coordination, their muscle coordination. Because we want to see if any of these things specifically are related to the development of Alzheimer's disease.
Well done.
Good. That's
got them
very
all.
good.
Yes.
Especially in the beginning, she didn't understand what she was studying, and she just memorized everything. We laughed a lot. There were so many answers that were so completely wrong, then you know she doesn't understand a thing of what you were teaching her the whole afternoon.
En op 'n stadium toe besluit ek, nee, dis nou dit. Ek gaan nou self leer. Toe gaan ek oor na die hoërskool toe. Toe het ek myself gehelp leer. En die manier waarop ek geleer is om hardop vir myself die goed te sê en om te skryf en om breinkaarte te maak en self die goed te onthou. Dis hoe ek die goed onthou het.
The most important thing that Sheri taught me about herself is her stubbornness. She was so stubborn because she wanted to show us she can.
Not only did she finish school, she enrolled for a diploma in education. And after a lot of blood, sweat and tears, ultimately, she became the first person with Down syndrome in South Africa to obtain a tertiary qualification.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, it was not always easy to pass my subject. I failed some of my subjects again and again, and sometimes again. But I never gave up.
We're interested in differences between people with Down syndrome, so we want to work with people like Sheri, who is a very high achiever, and we also want to work with people who have much more difficulties, because we think if we can understand some of those differences, it could help us also to understand the development of Alzheimer's disease in the long run. And it's the first time that we have such a large group of people from so many different fields working together to understand the link between Alzheimer's and Down syndrome.
And we know that other separates cage from mouse.
We're mouse geneticists, so we study the mouse and we study what we call a mouse model of Downs. So that's a mouse that effectively has aspects of Down syndrome. So this mouse, if you look at him, his tail's up, he's using it to balance, it's no problem at all. And there we go, he's back to the bench. No difficulty whatsoever. But in this animal here, look at the difference. So he's a lot more tentative, his tail's down, he's not using it to balance, he's slipping quite a lot, and he's not having a very good time at all, and he's just about getting to the end, and oh crikey, yep, there we go, he's got to the end and he's safe. And so you can really clearly see that there's a difference between the mouse that doesn't have the extra copy of chromosome 21 and the one that does. That has the same changes in the brain that one finds in people with Down syndrome, and that's associated with coordination when you walk.
Dis hoe ek ook sukkel met my balans. So hy loop stadig en ek loop stadig. die begin het ook met jou. Het is myself ook jammer gekry. Maar ek weet, ons Downs is maar stadig.
Mice and humans learn, we all have a memory. There's one particular test you can do where you present a mouse with two objects, and those objects are different from one another. Maybe they've got a different shape or different physical characteristics. And you allow a certain period of time for the mouse to sniff around and check out the objects and just investigate them, because mice are very inquisitive normally. And then you remove the two objects and you wait for a period of time, maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 24 hours, and you put one of the two objects back along with a novel object that the mouse has never seen before. Well, most mice will react in the same way that you would do. You want to have a look at the novel object because you haven't seen it before and it might be a bit more interesting. But if a mouse has a memory defect, then it treats both objects as being novel. It reacts as if it's never seen either object before, the old one or the new one. And so that's one of the many, many different ways that you can test mouse memory.
When Sheri was in her final school year, something very sad happened to our family. My husband, Jerry, went on a business trip to the Ograbis Falls, and he dropped his cell phone on the rocks. And in a freak accident, when he tried to retrieve it, he also fell down the ravine.
My ma en my sussie het so in die kamer ingeloop en ek het dadelik gesien iets is nou nie reg nie. En ek het die TV afgesit en het my gesê my pa is mis. My pa, hulle kry nie my pa nie.
But we flew over the waterfalls and in the river as it got more shallow, and then he would do it again and again and again. And after he did that about 12, 15 times, we knew he wasn't there. And at that moment we knew life as we knew it is forever past, and now it's a new life.
Ek kon dit nie verwerk nie. Ek het my kamer toe gehardloop en ek wou van niemand sien nie. Ek wou net alleen wees. En ja, dis die ding wat ek vergeet.
The first words that she said was Papa. The bond between them was so close and so special. So when he was taken away from her, those memories would never go away.
Dit is net wonderlike herinneringe. Hy het my altyd 'n klomp byname gegee. Ek is sy skreefiesoognooi. So ek sal altyd sy skreefiesoognooi wees en hy het ook altyd gesê ek sal altyd my juffrou Mongolia wees.
And she still mourns him. The memories must be cherished and beautiful, but when it hurts you so much, I would try to get her to get over the sore, the hurt, the burden that it puts on her little body, to be so sad about him. He's part of Sheri. It will always be part of Sheri.
And after my father died, I also prayed for the strength to go on with my life. When my family is with me, I can only hold out my hand, and someone will always help me. Hey, Ross. Yeah.
Sheri's a bit more than a year older than I am, but she was held back a year. So we went to grade 1 together and had the same books that we brought home. We had the same, everything we learned, geography, history, whatever it was exactly the same, at least for the first 2 years. And it was incredible to see number one, that she was able and capable to do the same type of work that I had, but it took her much longer than it did for me.
She really have a good memory. I don't know if it's long term or short term or really how it works, because she does struggle with academic work or when she had to study for school. But for daily activities, when we ask her, Sheri, please remember me, I have to be at my friend at 3 o'clock, or I have to tape something on TV, there's going to be a movie, she will remember exactly everything as on the dot.
You know, I think our lives sometimes are a bit more broad, and there's a lot of other things we think about and that clutter our minds, whereas small things can get very important to her, and that's part of her role in our family, is making sure she reminds us of things that we'll otherwise forget, because she has a very, very good memory.
When my sister got married and left our home, I went through a very bad time. I also wanted to get married, look after myself and do the things my sisters do. But I know Gustav, my Downs friend, for the last 14 years will not be able to look after me. He cannot even look after himself. And we don't have any special place to stay in Bloemfontein, where I live. Hallo my liefste gesinnetjie, Marisa, jy wonder seker waartoe gaan ek? Ek gaan na Gustav toe. Ek het nie eers vanoggend geslaap nie, ek is so opgewonde, ek kan nie meer wag nie. Zetty, het 'n lekker rustige dag hê. Lief julle almal, ek sal julle later alles vertel. Lief julle. Bye.
Gustav came into the picture when Sheri's friends had boyfriends. So she's in a normal school, she's in a school with a mainstream school. And her friends all started to have boyfriends. So they decided that Sheri should also have a boyfriend.
Ek het my ma gesê, ek soek iemand wat soos ek lyk. Ek soek 'n maatjie wat soos ek lyk.
But there's no other Downs children in Marty du Plessis. So now I had to go and look for a Downs boyfriend. And a friend of mine told me about this very nice Down syndrome boy, and she said, well, he's very lonely, he's on the farm alone. Later on I asked, just tell me, can this boy talk and can he write letters? And she said, yes. And I said, wow, so this seems to be a kind of person that can become Sheri's boyfriend. Gustav's parents are just wonderful, and they said no, they never thought of a friend for Gustav, but let Sheri come.
Toe ek hom die eerste keer ontmoet het, yes, dit was ongelooflik. Ek was net so gelukkig geweest en toe ek hom die heel eerste keer sien, ons het die ouders mekaar net so gekyk, ons het nie gesels nie. Ons het net mekaar gekyk. Toe ons besig is om draai, ek het nie eens geslaap deur die pad nie. So opgewonde was ek.
Okay.
Ja.
En ek is bly jy is hier, hè?
Ja, ek is bly dat ek ook hier is.
Ja.
Ek het nog baie lank was gesien.
Ja.
Ek weet nie hoe ek na jou verlang het nie.
Oh ja. Kom eens doen iets met my.
Ja.
Yes.
En wat jy daarom die hond ook?
Ja, ons gaat hem.
Mooi skoon.
Wil jy koekie hê?
Nee, dankie.
Okay. Wat kan jy met nog een keer?
Ag, dit het lanklaas by ons gereën. Ja, ek sien. Dis so mooi.
Ja, hier is nog meer gegeven.
Ja. Yes, Gustav. Shoot, wie giet dit vir jou?
Dat is ook goed.
It's not to say that Down syndrome people equals they can't get married. They can. But in Sheri's case, her very dear friend Gustav lives in Kulini, 4 or 5 hours away from us, and there's no place that they can live together with assistance.
Hy geniet dit ook op die plaas waar hy boer. En hy geniet dit by my skool waar ek juffrou is. So ek wil nie eintlik my skool prys gee om by hom te bly nie. Kyk, ek is lief vir hom, maar dit sal nie so uitwerk nie. Hy kan nie na my kyk nie. Ek moet ook nie na hom kyk nie. So, dit is my baie sleg, maar dit is maar soos hoe dit is. Ek is so klaar. Ek is so klaar.
Is jy weer kom, né?
Ja.
Jy mis sien? Wat is
Die vier.
Kyk.
Is dit vir die nuwe babatjie?
Ja.
O, dis baie mooi.
I don't think Sheri has the abilities to be able to raise a baby without help.
Lyk my gaan 'n dogtertjie word.
Soos toe my sussie nou 'n gaan 'n babatjie kry, het ek ook gewonder. Ek wil ook graag my eie kind hê en ek weet ek sou nie eintlik my eie kinders gaan hê nie. Al is dit my sleg, maar ek is oor dit. Ek kan nie vir die Here gevra om vir my daaroor te sit.
And again, life is not ideal. Life is what we make of it.
Waar is die ene vir Tannie Sheri?
Ongelukkig is nie Tannie ingesit nie.
Ons sal hom maar moet insit.
Ja, ek dink so.
Ek dink ook so.
And if we say, okay, we may be sad for a day or two, and now we put it a little to the side, not to your back, but to the side, and try to walk next to it. And later try to walk in front of it. Perhaps it's going to get softer.
I also need dreams, just the way you do. But I adjust my dreams to my abilities.
Toe ek klein was my droom om met kleiner kinders te werk. Ja, die hele bly nie. Ek weet ek het ook 'n leerprobleem. So die kleintjies daar het ook leerprobleme. Ja, seker. Dis mooi. Waar jy net toe. Dis. Maar dan sê ek, okay, moenie moet opgee nie, kom ons probeer weer.
When Sheri was born, I really prayed that her life would mean something. Not just the fact that she teaches, but the fact that she's got the ability to teach might mean something to other people with Down syndrome, to help their children to realize their dreams. It might be different dreams, but to know that these children can have dreams, and their dreams might come true the way that her dreams came true.
People started to invite Sheri to go and speak at different places. And then she got this wonderful invitation from the University of the Free State. And in 3 days and 9 graduation ceremonies, she spoke to nearly 20,000 people. My daughter with an intellectual disability, sharing the podium with these great people. I really thought nothing could be better. Little did I know. Requests for Sheri to perform as motivational speaker started flooding in after this, even from overseas.
Is this going to mean so much to our students to listen to your story? It's going to be very, very powerful for them. The only qualified teacher with Down syndrome in the world, I think that you would agree that we have a remarkable young lady whom we are very, very fortunate to have speak to us today.
As you can see, I am a person with Down syndrome, of which I am very proud.
It was wonderful to see her confidence and independence develop in the process.
I know I have an extra chromosome. But here, ladies and gentlemen, most of us have problem situations from time to time. I'm so lucky that my problem has a name.
The weight is a big problem for people with Down syndrome. They love food and they don't know when they have had enough and they have a low metabolism. So everything is just against them.
All I know is this is a genetic disorder.
So genetic? You can just say genetic. Genetic, good.
And it is not hereditary in most cases.
Hereditary. Friends helped her where they could.
Say that word.
Hereditary.
Hereditary.
Ek het nou al een keer alleen Kaapstad toe gevlieg. En ek kon dit reg kry om vir my tas te wag. En toe ek terugkom, kon ek dit reg kry om my gate te soek. Elke keer as hierdie mens vir my is, maar dan voel ek so goed oor myself.
Wat wil jy hom bysit?
Ja, ek dink so.
Jy moet nie alles bysit nie, jy moet begin dink wat jy nie bysit.
Ja, ek weet, maar ek voel dit bysit.
Okay, daai.
And as soon as something happens to her, she would say, but now I want to add this to my speech.
Ek wil hier definitief hou.
It's definitely her own ideas, because that which she does not believe in, she'll soon tell me she doesn't want to say this anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I was always afraid of this abortion thing, and at first we didn't put it in, and I tried to tell her, let's leave this part alone.
Me, a girl with Down syndrome, a condition which makes people abort their babies and lock them in institutions.
She wanted to put it in the speech.
I'm standing here today to try to change these perceptions about us.
I actually tell her before she starts speaking, please don't cry when you talk about abortion.
We deserve to live.
But she feels those emotions.
And we can have a full life. And we can even make a difference in people's lives.
And she knows that that choice could have been her.
Think of all the little unborn babies like me who do not get a basic chance in life.
I wouldn't judge anybody, but I think most of the parents only hear the disadvantages. They don't hear the wonderful life that you lead because you have a child that's different.
As iemand soos jy jou uitvlug nie op 'n maklike manier gaan doen. Of jy skam te wees.
She touches people in their souls, because for her, she says it's okay to be who she is, but she's not normal, or she's not as bright as most people listening to her. Why aren't we just happy being who we are? And somehow she touches them very deeply.
I hope you don't think I am bragging, but I cannot believe all the wonderful things I am blessed with. Down Syndrome International asked me to represent all people with Down syndrome in the world by doing the keynote speech at a conference in New York.
Eintlik het Starbucks koffie daar begin in New York. Die DVD speel in New York af. So toe ek dit nou kyk, hoe sien ek, wow, ek sien die Statue of Liberty, ek was daar gewees.
We read in papers and in magazines about New York, and now we're here. We're in New York. We're on our way to the United Nations building. We got into this taxi and we rode there, and I thought, oh, this is just, it's not real. It's this huge building. I felt so small.
Hello. How are you?
My ma het gestres. Sy dood gestres.
I'm so stressed for her because she's not stressed at all. And I believe one must be stressed before you talk, so I take the stress on me.
Could we please all take our seats? So I wish to thank you all for coming here today to mark this historic occasion.
She enjoys speaking, she enjoys performing, she enjoys taking the stand, but I'm always afraid she's not going to be able to cope.
Our first speaker today is Sheri, also from South Africa, and she's going to be speaking on making the best of who you are.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for inviting me here today.
She does cope.
When I was born, many people told my mother, don't worry, they don't live long. Ladies and gentlemen, luckily this is a disillusion of the past. As you know, our life expectation can be up to about 60 to 70 today. But, ladies and gentlemen, life and death is not in our hands, but what we do with our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, please give people with disabilities the opportunities to be proud of their differences. My dream is for the world to become a place where the general population respects, encourages, and enables its disabled citizens to make a contribution in life, develop to their full potential, and feel that they have a purpose in life.
And they gave her a standing ovation, the only one of the whole day.
Well done, Sheri.
And I sat there and I thought, this is magic.
What you had to say was true for everything.
Yes. Can we take a picture with you? Thank you. It was very inspiring.
I was so happy that I came because I could hear you speak.
And I thought very blessed that I could listen to her. And I still feel very blessed that I can still follow the journey with her. And sometimes the journey is hard, but mostly the journey is blessed.
That's not a bad question. Well, what we know happens in Alzheimer's disease is you get amyloid build-up in the brain. So you get these lumps inside the brain which contain the amyloid protein, and that's what seems to be what's causing the disease. Amyloid is made by a gene which is on chromosome 21. Now, people with Down syndrome have got this extra copy, and so they make more, and so this, unfortunately, builds up more. All of the general population have got 2 copies of that gene. Well, nearly all of the people with Down syndrome have got 3 copies of that gene. So people with Down syndrome are making half as much again as the rest of us. And that seems to overload their metabolism, and that's why it builds up in them.
What did we put in the box?
A coin, a car.
People with Down syndrome already show the signs of Alzheimer's disease in their brains by the time they're 30. Almost all of them show those signs. And by that I mean that clumps of a protein called amyloid start being deposited in their brains, forming plaques.
How many things were in there?
A spoon.
Yeah. But in people with Down syndrome, it seems like many of them are protected against the clinical signs of dementia.
Coin.
So despite having these plaques, not all of them go on to develop the signs of dementia, such as memory loss and so on.
Very good.
And we're very interested in understanding what it is that protects those people.
I'm very realistic about everything happening about her. So I did research on the fact that they do get Alzheimer's disease after the age of 30. I realized that she might be one of the Down syndrome people who might develop Alzheimer's disease. My father contracted this terrible disease, and I saw the way that he deteriorated, changing into a person without any recognition, hygiene, personality. This disease took away life as he knew life and changed him into a person he would so much rather not have known.
Toe ons uitgevind het, hy het Alzheimer's gekry, was in my baie sleg. Omdat ek vir my oupa lief was. So, my oupa het of vir my ma gesê, hy wil nie hê ons moet hom so sien nie. En ek wou hom graag so sien, omdat ek onthou hoe hy is. My ma sê altyd vir my, onthou dit, onthou dit. Ek onthou elke mens in ons familie se verjaarsdag. Ek voel trots daarop dat ek dinge kan onthou.
If Sheri loses her memory, she loses the life as she knows it. And she knows a life where she functions very nearly normally. If she loses that, she loses the person she is. And that would, to me, would be really devastating. I've always believed that God had a plan with Sheri's life, that He wouldn't give her something she couldn't handle. But I also believe you should do what you can. If Sheri could help a person like him, to me, would be like looking at my father and say, we did something. We tried to help you. Not you, but people like you.
It is very exciting times in cellular biology because when you look at
What are all things that we could learn from individuals with Down syndrome? Not all of the cells are easily accessible. You can ask people for blood samples, you can ask people for a small amount of skin samples and so on, but you cannot ask people to donate brain cells from living people, obviously. And that is the type of cell which hides most secrets. It's not sharp at all. Okay. The modern technology enables us to take a skin cell or a hair follicle cell. Okay, much better now. Very good, I'm happy with this. And then turn it in the culture dish in something resembling an embryonic stem cell, with the sole intention of generating the cell types in a culture dish that we'd like to study. In this case, it's brain cells.
Embryonic cell can become anything.
Yes.
So how do you tell that embryonic cell to become a nerve cell?
Very good question. It's all about changing the conditions in which they grow. So the composition of what you give them to eat. So the cells you see here are the brain cells that were derived from skin cells donated by a person with Down syndrome. So this gives us the opportunity to see how the brain cells function in vitro and to do measurements on them. And we would like to know what is the difference in the cells and in the genes of these people that do develop dementia and people that don't develop dementia. All of them have Down syndrome. And I think those differences could hold a clue as to how to protect, predict, and treat dementia in people with or without Down syndrome.
I think it's wonderful that these people who were shunned, that they were looked down on, and now these children really can mean something to all.
There's an increased likelihood of getting Alzheimer's disease if one has Down syndrome. That's very clear. And if we understood that, then we may well, and this is the big hope, be able to come up with treatments for Alzheimer's and Down syndrome. Those of us who do not have Downs owe the Downs population an enormous debt, because if we can find a treatment for Alzheimer's and Downs, it's likely to work in the rest of the population.
So you can tell me yes if you want to take part, or you can say no if you don't want to do it. Do you want to take part? Do you want to help us with this work?
Yes. Aan die einde van die jaar is dit altyd my nuwejaarsvoorneme. Elke nuwe jaar is my nuwejaarsvoorneme altyd dieselfde, om vir mense iets te kan beteken.
To me, Sheri being in the Langdon Down Centre was like coming home, like the place where everything started. This is where John Langdon Down cared enough for a group of people who looked the same to make a difference in their lives.
Hi, Andrew. Nice to see you again, DSI Ambassador.
Thank you. That's one of the highlights of her life, being an ambassador of Down Syndrome International.
The acceptance of people with disabilities is very, very low across all of Africa. But in addition to that, you have something which was very similar to what happened here in the 1800s. In a lot of cases, there was a social stigma, a social shame attached to having a child with disability. So they tend to put them away into institutions, yeah. And that's exactly what happened here. But of course, if they do have means, and if they are wealthy, and if they love their children, then they'll be places like...
It definitely does take a lot from Sheri. Going overseas like we did, she definitely gets more tired than other people, but she keeps up.
To enjoy their lives and to, Have you seen this before?
No, not this.
This is. Have you heard of Shifting Perspectives, the photography exhibition? No.
Yeah, no.
No, it's quite famous actually worldwide. Indeed, yeah. Yeah, so this is the guy here, James Henry Pullum. Historically, others have advocated for them, and the fact that people with Down syndrome can have some form of or quite profound learning disabilities makes it much more difficult for them to advocate for themselves. That's John and Mary there. The work that Sheri is doing internationally you know, really, really helps us to be able to tell the world that, you know, this is what's possible. Yeah, so this is the Normansfield Theatre, which was constructed in the 1860s by John Langdon Down, and John and his wife Mary used this for the entertainment and sort of cultural development of the patients, people with Down syndrome and other disabilities who were residing here.
The fact that John Langdon Down's wife, so many years ago, already saw the benefit of drama classes for people with intellectual disabilities. They started to get out of themselves. You know, it is the best thing for these children to do.
A world-famous pianist once said that there is no such thing as a false note. Some notes may sound false to us, but in reality it just sounds different. Today, I can truly thank the Lord for making me exactly as I am, a person with Down syndrome.
Sal dokter asseblief geoorvat. Gewag vir 'n onkoste asseblief vir ontvangs dokter kostes om na kyk.
Traumatische traumatische niemand voor. Geef het dokter Brink. Sê die teater moet reg staan.
Reg so dokter.
Cut. Sal vir my baie eerste posisies.
Dokter kom gaan ons langs om.
One morning somebody phoned me that they need a person with Down syndrome to play in Binnenlanders.
Marides met die guiding, sy was in die motorongeluk, sy het haar perd geval.
So we came and she had to memorize the words and she had to be able to play against other actors and she could do it.
Help asseblief, sy sukkel om asem te kry.
Kino, Marie.
Binnenlanders to her is a soapie that she never misses Binnenlanders.
As ek nou nie betyds is vir my seepies nie, dan typ ek vir Binnenlanders en dan sal ek die volgende dag na Binnenlanders kyk.
Actually, she's in the clouds now.
Wat hulle doen is net ongelooflik. Hoe hulle my grimeer en hoe hulle nou hierdie beserings in my gedoen het toe ek nou van 'n perd afgeval het. Dit is vir my net so fascinerend. Het was net ongelooflik. Dit is die droom waarvoor ek gevra het om waar te word.
Perhaps one day when she gets older, she might not remember all the wonderful things that she has experienced. But I really think it's not what we remember, but it is how we are remembered.